This was done to protect the deposits of the people, the depositors, and to give them more security. And this step has been taken after there was a big crisis in a cooperative bank called PMC Bank. This happened last year. So in this context, we'll try to see what are these cooperative banks, what is this PMC Bank crisis, what are some challenges with the cooperative banks, and how is the present step of government is helping in cooperative banks, right? So to start with, what is a cooperative bank? A cooperative bank is a financial entity established on a cooperative basis and belonging to the members, right? This is the definition. They are basically financial entities established on a cooperative basis and belonging to the members, right? So now we'll try to see. Now cooperative bank is nothing but group of people coming together and then making a bank, right? Group of people coming together and making a bank for their own. That is called a cooperative bank, right? This group is usually large. So financial entities established on a cooperative basis and belonging to the members itself. That is called a cooperative bank. Right? Customers of the cooperative bank are also its owners, right? This is important. Customers of the cooperative bank are also its owners also, right? They are the people who will come forward, deposit money, make a bank, and then become the owners of the bank also, right? So this is broadly about cooperative banks. Now these cooperative banks, who will be controlling them? We need a regulatory authority, right? So now these cooperative banks are under dual control. It's called dual control. That means there are two entities that are regulating these cooperative banks, right? One is Registrar of Cooperative Societies, right? And the second one is RBI. So in this way, there are two entities. First one is Registrar of Cooperative Societies, and the second one is RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Both these bodies control the cooperative societies, right? Some functions are done by Registrar of Cooperative Societies. What is this Registrar of Cooperative Societies? This is a body which can be under state government or the central government. Basically, this registrar does the registration of cooperative banks, right? Management of the cooperative banks, auditing of the cooperative banks. All these major functions are done by the Registrar of Cooperative Societies, right? So this can be under central government or state government. Now the second controlling body is RBI, Reserve Bank of India. What does this do? This takes care of regulatory functions like cash reserve, capital adequacy, how is the health of the cooperative bank, what are the NPS status of this cooperative bank, is the cooperative bank making profits or is it under loss from many years, what to do, all this RBI takes care of it, right? The management, registration, auditing, all this is taken care by Registrar of Cooperative Societies. RBI takes care of regulatory functions. That means cash reserve, capital adequacy. That means is the cooperative bank having enough money to pay back all the deposits. All this is taken care by RBI, right? In this way, cooperative banks are under dual control. This we have to know. What are some features of these cooperative banks? One of the feature is how is the board or the topmost management of this cooperative bank, how is it made? That is made by the process of elections, voting, right? By voting, as we have discussed before, it is the members of the cooperative banks are none other than the customers of the cooperative bank also. Cooperative banks, right? Cooperative banks are in the news because there was a cabinet approval for bringing cooperative banks completely under the supervision of RBI. So the depositors who are there, all these will elect the board for management, right, for these cooperative banks. So voting takes place and board members are elected by the people, right? This is one feature in the cooperative bank. And the second feature, as we have discussed before, it is customer owned entity, right? Customers are the owners of the banks in the cooperative banks. So these are some features which you have to know. Now, how are they different from the normal commercial banks? This also we have to know. Like, why is an entity called cooperative bank was set up separately? What is the difference between this cooperative bank and a commercial bank, right? First thing is ownership, as we have discussed before, right? A normal commercial bank, ownership might be in the hands of the government, or ownership might be in the hands of few private individuals in case of private bank, right? All those who are shareholders, that means all those who have invested in the bank's shares, those mostly have ownership of this commercial bank. But if we see the cooperative bank, it is not like that, right? Cooperative bank, all the customers of the bank are the owners of the cooperative bank, right? So in terms of ownership, cooperative bank is different from the commercial bank. Now, second difference is control of RBI. Reserve Bank of India has complete control on the commercial banks. Whereas if we see the cooperative banks, Reserve Bank is not the only entity that regulates these cooperative banks. As we have discussed before, there is dual control, right? There is Registrar of Cooperative Societies also, which is doing a lot of activities, controlling activities related to the cooperative banks. So in this scenario, control of RBI on cooperative bank is less compared to the commercial banks. This is the second difference, right? Third difference is there is no clear separation between borrowers and the shareholders in the cooperative banks, right? Because who are the shareholders? Those who have invested in the bank and those who have some ownership on the bank. These are the shareholders, right? Depositors are different, shareholders are different, creditors are different in a bank. But if we see in the cooperative banks, depositors are the same as the owners, right? Customers are the owners of the bank. So in this way also, cooperative bank is different from commercial bank. In commercial bank, we have difference between borrower and a shareholder. But in cooperative banks, there is no such difference. Customers are the owners. This is the third difference. Fourth difference is on what act or on what law does these bodies come into existence. If we see the cooperative banks, they come under existence under an act called State Cooperative Societies Act, right? The different state governments, they enact these legislations called State Cooperative Societies Act. Under this act, these cooperative banks are registered. Whereas if we see the commercial banks, they are registered under the RBI, right? As a part of Banking Regulation Act 1955. And also RBI Act 1934. These are two legislations under which commercial banks come into existence, right? They are registered under this two legislations under RBI. Whereas cooperative banks, they are registered under State Cooperative Societies Act, right? These are some differences between cooperative banks and commercial banks, right? Now we have to see what is this PMC bank crisis. Last year, September 2019, there was a crisis in a cooperative bank called Punjab Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, right? PMC bank. So this crisis had a huge impact on people. What happened here? This bank went bankrupt. It could not pay back the money to the depositors. So there were three serious issues that were involved in this PMC bank crisis. The first thing is, as we know, cooperative bank, what it does, it takes money from the depositors and gives it as loans to various people, right? The same activity which the bank does. Only difference is customers are the owners. Now the first serious issue that led to this scam in this PMC bank is the PMC bank management board, which is there, that has given loans to a financially stressed company called HDIL, Housing Development and Infrastructure Limited. This HDIL, this is a company which was already loss making. which was already financially stressed company. To this company, this PMC Bank board has given around 6,500 crores of loan amount. This is almost 73% of the bank's loan amount, right? Out of the entire loan amount which PMC has given to various people, 73% of the loan amount was given straight away to this HDIL company, right? Which is a loss-making company and is a financially stressed company. And obviously, the company was not repaying back the interest or the principal amount, right? Every month it has to repay. The company was not repaying. And the bank management also did not classify this as non-performing asset, right? So this was a major issue that was involved. So they gave loans to a loss-making company. The second issue is creating fictitious accounts of companies, right? What did the PMC Bank board do? They themselves have opened accounts in this bank in names of different companies, right? In names of different companies which actually don't exist. They have created some bank accounts in this PMC Bank, and then they borrowed money from those accounts, right? So this was also involved. Fake accounts were created on the names of various companies, and then money was borrowed on the name of these accounts, right? And that money was never repaid to the PMC Bank. This was the second issue that was involved. The third issue that was involved was false financial reports. Ultimately, at the end of the year, as we have seen, it comes under the regulation of RBI, and also auditing is done by the Registrar of Cooperative Societies. So at the end of the financial year, it has to show its balance sheet, right? What are the loans it has given, what are its profits, and everything it has to show. In that financial statements also, in those reports also, they have deliberately hidden these bad loans, right? The loans which they are not able to recover, they were deliberately hidden in these financial reports, and they projected a very good performance of PMC Bank, right? So these were the three issues that were involved. First one is loans to a loss-making company. Second thing is fake accounts were created and money was drawn. Third thing is financial reports, fake or false financial reports were made, right? Bad loans were hidden deliberately. So if we see in these three issues show that the board, the management board which is there for a bank, that plays really a very crucial role in running a bank, right? So if the management board did not agree, such issues won't appear in a bank in the first place, right? So management issues, or to be more precise, corporate governance, the governance was not proper, right? There was some money laundering and corruption involved in the topmost level management of the bank. Now, why did this happen in the cooperative banks? Because of dual control. Because RBI does not have complete control on these cooperative banks, we have other entity called Registrar of Cooperative Societies, which is under the state government and the central governments. So here, because of this dual control, such issues are happening, right? Coordination is not there between RBI and this registrar, because two bodies regulating one entity may not be that much effective, right? So when regulation is not effective, such things happen, and such things have a huge impact on the people and in turn on the economy also. That's why the present government has given a cabinet approval to bring these cooperative banks under RBI supervision, right? Completely under RBI supervision. Because this dual control is not that much effective, this is being brought under RBI supervision, right? This was done. So by doing this, what are some benefits? As we have discussed, RBI no doubt is an independent regulator. So regulating would be independent rather than politicization or some corruption being involved in the board management. RBI as an independent regulator will definitely do the regulation of this cooperative bank in a fair way, right? That is the first benefit, because previously regulation was shared between two. Now only RBI is there, right? That is the first benefit. Second benefit is management board. Now the main issue happened where? At the management board level. Now because RBI has taken up the entire control over the cooperative banks, if we see, management used to come under Register of Cooperative Societies. Now management comes under RBI, right? So RBI can now efficiently check the management also. That is the second benefit which we will be getting, which previously RBI could not do. So governance will definitely improve. That is the second point. Third point is auditing and accounting also will improve. If we see the PMC Bank, what was one of the issue? They have made false financial reports showing that they did not have any bad loans. Now such instances can be avoided because previously auditing was under the hands of Register of Cooperative Societies, but now an independent regulator like RBI will be having control on auditing and accounting also, right? So this will keep more checks and balances on the management. Malpractices by the board management will reduce. So this is the third benefit. Auditing and accounting will improve. Checks and balances will be there, and such false reports can be avoided. The actual health of the bank can be found out now, right? This is the third thing. Fourth thing is NPS problem also will come down. Non-performing assets problem also will come down. Now, if the auditing and accounting is better or has improved, definitely banks can't hide their NPS, which they used to do before. Now everything will be transparent and accurate. So NPS will be found out very easily, right? So fourth thing is NPS problem will come down. And also professionalism in the board members will increase. Scope for corruption or politicization will reduce, right? Professionalism in board members will increase. These are some of the benefits which are associated by bringing cooperative banks completely under the RBI supervision. Apart from this, one more suggestion which was made last year in the context of PMC Bank crisis was, there was a committee called Maligram Committee, MALEGAM, Maligram Committee. This committee recommended that for the cooperative banks, rather than electing the board members, we have to give chance to those who are eligible, who have the knowledge and who have the professionalism, right? Rather than electing members to become board members, why not give chance for someone who is very well equipped with the skills to manage a bank, right? This was one of the suggestions that was made by Maligram Committee, because if we see, yes, democracy should be there, but in the case of a bank where huge money, public money is involved, along with representation of the people, efficiency is also important. For efficiency, we need to have professionals at the top level of the bank rather than those elected by the people. So that was one suggestion made by the Maligram Committee. So overall, if we see, definitely if the cooperative banks health is made better, that means if efficiency is increased in the cooperative banks, definitely that will lead to a strong banking sector in India, right? Why? Because along with commercial banks, cooperative banks also play a huge role in financial inclusion, because these are the banks that are more accessible to the people, because as we have discussed from the beginning, customers are the owners of the bank. So cooperative banks are in more reach or more accessible to the people, right? So that's why if the cooperative banks are made better by the step which is taken by the government, definitely banking sector will become strong, financial inclusion will improve, and finally a strong banking sector is definitely useful for making India Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? Because for India to make India self-reliant, obviously we need a strong banking sector also. A banking sector which is strong and accessible to all the sections. So in that context, cooperative banks, if they are completely brought under RBI supervision, which the government did, definitely it will contribute to making India Atmanirbhar Bharat.